Now, incredible journalist, researcher, Katie Hopkins, contributor to Fox News, is in St. Petersburg, Russia, and I want to get her take on this and her whole geopolitical view. I mean, what do you think, Katie? Now the neocons, the Democrats, all the usual suspects have combined forces, and they're saying anybody could have done this. This means nothing. This is bad. Just a few months ago, they were saying if Trump could do this, he'd go down in history as a great president, but he couldn't do it. So I'm telling you, he could find the cure for cancer, and they get upset, Katie.
It's a joy watching their heads explode today because they cannot cope with this at all. And it's been really fun watching them try to cover it. They pull the same faces that they pulled when we got Brexit, when Trump was elected. They just don't know how to articulate the words because they can't bear that he's successful. What we see today is the Peace Prize, because of course it's been now that Trump awarded the Nobel Peace having this first meeting, but of course they could never give the prize to a conservative. So I think it's a joyous day for any Trump supporter, and yet another reminder that if you want to silence a Democrat, all you have to ask them is, who have you got to beat Trump in 2020? And they don't have an answer.
Katie Hopkins is our guest. I am in Hawaii in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. She is in St. Petersburg, right there at the heart of Russian culture and so much of European culture as well. And her Skype's a little choppy to me. Is that choppy to you, or is it just choppy to me, crew? Okay, well, we'll try to work on that chop here because Katie's always so riveting with her information. Looking at this, and we can pull these articles up, Katie. Just 6 months ago and just 3 months ago, they were saying, how dare Trump be saying, Rocket Man, we may have to take you out, fire and fury. How dare you be talking bad about Kim Jong-un? He's a leader. CNN said he's a great man. I mean, even conservative media said, my God, you're like cheerleading for Kim Jong-un. That was the process of bringing him to the table, as you know, Katie, the art of the deal. So we should get the clips of them saying, don't ever be nice to Kim Jong-un. Now they're saying it's bad to be nice to Kim Jong-un to get him to come in out of the dark. Katie?
Absolutely, and I think it's something anybody that's a Trump supporter like you or I knew when we saw that the meeting was called off. I tweeted, other people tweeted to say, you know, we knew that was going to be back on. We knew this meeting would happen. This is just the way he works.
Explain that to people that don't know. It's very formulaic. It's very straight shooting. It's why people now, foreign leaders, people are starting to like Trump. It's because what you say is what you get. If he's going to attack you, if you don't give up the nukes, take money and hotels and your people being rich, or we're going to invade you because you're threatening everybody. You either going to die or you're going to be rich and live long and prosper. Explain the art of the deal to the libtards.
Yes, so the art of the deal is always negotiating from a position of strength, and you've seen that repeatedly with Trump's work. So he will talk about adding tariffs, of course, to oil and gas or steel or whatever in order to put himself in the strength, in the position of strength at the negotiating table, meaning other countries have to come to Trump to beg for favors. So he's completely turning the tables for America. As he says, for too long, America has been everybody's piggy bank. Everybody's been raiding America. He makes it so that America is in the position of strength. Everybody else has to come crawling to him for him to allow them into the deal. And that's exactly what he did with North Korea as well. You'll remember the point where he called off that meeting in order to reassert his position as the position of strength and for Kim Jong-un to feel in some way grateful that that meeting happened. And we'll see him carry on doing this throughout his presidency, which is putting Americans back where he said he would, which is putting America first. And it's been brilliant to see the eunuchs of Europe, Merkel, Macron, others, just absolutely fall apart. I think you'll have seen that picture of Donald Trump at the meeting table.
Katie, I was about to ask them to pull it up from my Twitter. I know you tweeted it as well from last Saturday or so, where they're all around the table. He's sitting down like the king. No need to be on a throne. He's sitting there with his arms crossed, and of course there's video of it as well. You got the Chinese delegation behind him. You've got the Japanese. You've got the South Koreans all lined up with the U.S. And again, the United States paid for this whole world system, but then now all Trump is saying is, listen, we're not going to be the only ones paying for it anymore, and they're having to come to their knees, and they don't know what to do. Please continue.
It was a perfect picture. It's a picture, I think, that perfectly encapsulated Trump's presidency to date. You've got Merkel leaning on the table, Macron trying to get his little face in the picture because he's desperate for attention at all times. And then right in the back corner, just like meat in the room, irrelevance, there's Justin Trudeau from Canada, who Trump spectacularly ignores. And then Trump's there. He's very much the central figure in that room. He's got the Japanese with him. It's all about Trump. And in many ways, that's so true of the whole media narrative right now. It is all about Trump. And that's one thing CNN can't see and the liberals can't see. They might want to hate him, but they cannot stop talking about him. And that's only going to do great things for 2020. But it's amazing to see how weak Europe is right now. It's incredibly divided. The populists are on the march. We've seen the League victory in Italy, very strong now, pushing away the migrant
That's
vote.
what I wanted to hit next. Segueing out of Korea with Katie Hopkins. I want to now get into the fall of the authoritarian Europe, how Russia ties into that, what's happening with Brexit. She's been at the heart of that and more. Katie Hopkins, Fox contributor. We'll tell you her websites and more on the other side. Be sure and follow her on Twitter as well. We'll be right back. This is A Global Revolution Against Tyranny. And we are back live, ladies and gentlemen, on the heels of the historic summit they said would never happen. They said the economy would never go past 3%. They said the EU would never start breaking up. Katie Hopkins isn't just a journalist, isn't just a Fox News analyst, isn't just a best-selling author, researcher, writer. She's also, what I would call just eyes in the ears top analyst. And from everything I'm seeing, the EU is now in full collapse. They finally admit it's in full collapse. Soros is panicking. A, is that accurate, Katie Hopkins? B, break down the waterfront for us. And what do you think comes next in this unraveling of the unelected authoritarian EU? And then Owen Schroyer's in the ATX studio. Owen, feel free to jump in any time. Katie Hopkins.
It's absolutely correct. I think Europe is as weak as it's ever been and more divided than it's ever been in peacetime. So just how that breaks down for you, in Italy, the populists are resurgent. The five-star plus the League just got in. So a populist movement supported by Putin and others, and in a really great move that's supported really widely across Europe. They've just rejected an NGO boat, a charity rescue boat across the Med, 629 Africans, Libyans on board, and they've said, no, you will not dock at this Italian port. Matteo Salvini fulfilling his election promises, saying no more migrants to Italy. And that's a fantastic win for the right wing, for populists like myself. You've got Viktor Orban, of course, in Hungary. He's absolutely forcing ahead. Secure borders, Christian culture, no Muslim invasion of Hungary. And then in Austria, they have just shut down 7 mosques, and they are going to repatriate the extremist imams that have been preaching out of the mosques. So if you see, that's this pattern building of the populist resurgence. Merkel was crippled in the polls. The Alternative for Deutschland, the populists, they are the main opposition party in Germany. So everywhere we look, there is hope now, and we have our little heads up. And I really believe with the Spanish just taking that migrant boat, saying, yes, okay, we'll take it, the Spanish will be the next to see the populists in power in about a year's time, and I look forward to that as well.
Katie, you are reading my mind. I was telling him earlier, pull up the photo of Trump with everybody like he's the king and they're in the court because we hold the power of economics and history, and we've been financing these globalists. And I was just now telling them via text message, because I'm in Hawaii, they're in Texas, you're in St. Petersburg, Russia, for those that just joined us. I'm texting them saying, pull up the Zodiac boats landing just like the old African invasions of the Moors. So they have this on screen. 10 million people, Soros publicly funding this, saying we're going to Islamify Europe. I mean, this is a true invasion, not trying to help these people. That's why they're all military-age men. They're saying, come invade. How did the left think that everybody would accept this? Because I saw the thing in Germany Where they had the moment of silence. It's on Infowars.com. Talk about that right now. The thing in Germany that just came out, where they have the moment of silence for the young girl, raped and attacked, and people that and the left is chanting against her, like when the illegal alien shoots the young woman in the back in San Francisco, and the media, defends that, and the jury lets them go. I mean, this is getting insane. Tell us about this EU Parliament video we're showing.
Absolutely. So I think one of the things we've really noticed in terms of this migrant crossing across the Med, this sense finally, so many people like myself since 2014 have been saying stop the boats. We must stop the boats. Criticised for saying that. I spent a lot of time in southern Italy and Sicily trying to stop the boats, and still they come. So I think there's a real tension now. Macron from France is criticising Italy for not taking the boat. All the while, of course, Spain will take the boat, but the people in Spain aren't happy about that. So what we've got are these globalist leaders fighting against their own people. People don't want these migrants in their country. Germany's just seen what's happened where a migrant with a previous conviction for rape, he took that 14-year-old girl. She was strangled and raped and dumped in bushes by the rail tracks. She was from the Jewish community. And of course, it's one of the problems we're seeing a lot in Germany and other places. It's the Jewish community, thanks to Soros bringing over these Muslim migrants. It's the Jewish community that are persecuted once again. And a number of people I know in Germany are looking to migrate out of Germany again. They say that this is the second wave of the Jewish people needing to leave Germany, which is frightening. And I also get emails. I sent one to your team earlier, if they're able to pull it up. Very sad emails, Alex, from elderly men and women, the age of my parents, 75, proud Brits. And they say to me, your viewers might be able to see it on screen, I'm not sure. They say that I'm glad I'm old. I'm glad I'm old and I won't live to see my country fall. And they feel sorry for young people in Britain and Europe because their country will never be the country that they used to know. And those are really hard emails to get, actually, from the elderly. I never know quite how to respond.
Well, it's the sad resignation, but here's the good news. The spirit of liberty is coming back. The globalists admit this is an organized invasion. To quote In Christianity, we have George Soros' statements. We had Peter Sutherland, who died this year, his statements. These are the admitted insane statements. Why do you think the left and these billionaires have such a hatred of the West and hatred of Christianity and almost like a cuckolding or a fetish? I guess like a Satanist wants to torture a child to death for no reason. They want to destroy something good. It'd be one thing if these were real migrants and some migration and people and all that's wonderful, but total invasion, saying we're going to overwrite Europe, Hollywood, every movie demonizing Christianity or families. The top educator in England, as you know, just 2 weeks ago said, thank God we're getting rid of the family. The nuclear family's bad. And then a judge says, well, you're 7 times more likely to be in prison if you're not. I mean, what is this full-out assault on anything normal?
It seems to me, observing leaders across Europe in particular, because they're the ones that have been so determined to see the fall of the Christian culture and so determined to perpetuate this globalist agenda. It seems to me that managed decline, that phrase of managed decline, they make just as much profit, they make just as much political gain by overseeing managed decline as they do for fighting for anything.
Exactly.
So whereas you guys have Trump fighting for America, fighting for Americans, we have European
for a new renaissance.
Leaders. Yeah, it's just as easy for our guys to manage the decline of their countries and make that a profitable thing for themselves politically, because the more Muslims you import, if you're able to attract the Muslim vote, of course you're going to get yourself re-elected. And that's exactly what you see in America and California with this push for illegals, because it's the only way Democrats to get themselves re-elected is to import voters that will, of course, vote for them.
But the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray, Katie Hopkins, of HopkinsWorld.com. So let me ask you this question. As the EU accelerates its collapse, as they threaten Eastern Europe with, 100,000 euro fines, they don't take in the illegals, it seems it's only waking people up faster. Looking at the tea leaves, what do you expect to see happening in the next few years? It seems like globalism is just being routed.
Yes, and this is the exciting thing, and that's what that picture said to me, of Trump with his arms crossed, with Merkel and Macron and Trudeau in the back of the room, stood there with Japan. you'll have heard, given that I'm reporting from Russia for you today, you'll have heard Trump say very clearly, very carefully, on a number of occasions, Putin should be back in the room. Putin should be back with the G8. And that's precisely what I see happening. A realignment between Putin, America and Japan as the fight back against the globalists really begins. Where people here in Russia, they believe they are Russian first and they will put the Russian culture first, and they are 85% Christians here in St. Petersburg. Same for America with Trump, and I think Japan coming in very nicely. This is the fight back against the globalists, and this is where it all starts, and I'm thoroughly thrilled and excited by it.
That's right. Well, Japan's taken 0 refugees, just like Saudi Arabia. And Japan, you look at the photos, but also policy. South Korea fully aligned with us. Australia is now aligning. The UK, leading the way with Brexit. So it's the UK, the United States, a few pockets in Europe waking up, Australia, and just free market people worldwide. Brazil's starting to wake up, aligning against the communist Chinese, the radical Islamicists, the corrupt Vatican, the unelected EU, and Hollywood. I think we're going to win this, Katie Hopkins. We're going to come back in just 2 minutes, do 5 more minutes with you. I want to ask you about free Tommy Robinson, a powerful video you have at hopkinsworld.com. You also have it on your Twitter. We're going to play some of that when we come back and get Owen Schroyer to pop in with his take. KT Hopkins at Twitter. Be sure and follow that. I'm Alex Jones, real Alex Jones on Twitter. Be sure and retweet those. They hate it when we do it. And don't forget, free shipping ends this week at InfoWarsStore.com. Without your purchases, we can't finance this operation. X2 is 50% off, but it's going to end this week. Get X2 at InfoWarsLive.com. Stay with us. So history is happening all around us. Incredible things are unfolding. We have some amazing guests coming up in the next segment as Democrats being confronted. Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, for their criminal activities are being confronted everywhere. That's coming up. A ton of other breaking news with Owen Schroyer, who's riding shotgun from the ATX. Katie Hopkins is here. We're going to air her powerful video after she leaves us at the start of the next segment from the Free Tommy Robinson rally. I mean, all the different HD cuts you didn't see in the live feeds. That's going to be coming up, start of the next segment. But, Katie, just an update on Tommy Robinson from your sources. I'm also talking to his crew later today, how that's ignited people, how that's awakened people, and then other tidbits of what you've observed there in Christian Russia.
Thank you. So I just wanted to update you with some breaking news. Parliament, so this is in the UK, and today the House of Lords were voting on Brexit, and it's been very tense. It's about whether Parliament will get a final meaningful vote on Brexit, which meant that Parliament could have overturned Brexit. So the Remainers could have managed to have a final say on the Brexit I voted for and Brexiteers voted for. And it's just been announced, breaking news, Parliament will not get a meaningful vote on the final Brexit deal after MPs voted to reject a House of Lords amendment. So what that means is Theresa May goes into this final negotiating round with the EU with a much strengthened hand because Parliament will not get a final say on the deal. And that's a very great thing for Brexiteers like myself. So sorry for that. But yeah, back to
Whoa, no, please don't say sorry. Please, no, we should have led with that. I didn't even realize that vote had already come up. Wow. So, spend another minute before we get to Tommy. I mean, because he's important, but wow, that'd be good news for him as well. I mean, just recapping that. So this is a big victory for sovereignty.
Yes, so MPs voted by 324 votes to 298, a majority of 26, to reject the amendment passed in the Lords, enabling Parliament to take charge of the negotiating strategy if MPs voted against the Brexit deal. So that will not happen. Parliament will not be able to take charge of the negotiating strategy, which means a much better deal for Brexiteers because we are much more likely to get the Brexit we wanted because MPs, the people we voted for, won't be able to overturn the decision of 17.4 million people. So that's a fantastic thing, but it does show the House of Lords working against democracy in the UK effectively because the House of Lords want to put Parliament in control.
And no longer is it actual lords that go back to England. And for people that don't know, that's now bureaucratically installed folks, almost like the EU permanent bureaucracy. It's this dictatorship. It's almost like a communist Politburo.
Oh, absolutely. And I can see in my lifetime the House of Lords being abolished. Absolutely. The British people aren't going to take this lying down at all. Most of them are geriatrics over the age of 85. They have to have waterproof flooring because they're all doubly incontinent. So it's time they were all got rid of.
I totally agree. They need to abolish it and create another House of Parliament. You need two systems. You mean,
yeah, get rid of it. Yeah. They all got told off last week for sleeping while they're in there. They go in there, they get their $500 expenses a day, and then
listen,
they go
I know
to sleep.
It's nighttime over in Russia, and you've got important things to do, but we got to do the Tommy Robinson update. We've got a 1-minute break, yes. And then I'm going to come back and just give me 2 minutes on how Tommy is doing, and then we'll play your video, but you'll be gone. Katie, thank you so much for just in 50 seconds we have going to break. What's the spirit in Russia right now?
It's fantastic over here. You know, we have this idea that Putin's a monster. It doesn't seem like that. Everybody's out in the street partying. It's white nights here, only 4 hours of darkness a night. And it's very open. It's very Russian. It's very Catholic and Christian. There's no litter on the streets. People here don't overconsume. I love it.
So Russia looks strong from your perspective.
Absolutely, it looks strong, and I think for too long we've made Putin out to be the monster, and I don't see a monster here at all. In fact, I see a Russia very like America that's willing to put Russia first, and that's a positive thing for America, and it's a positive thing in the fight against the globalists.
And that makes Hollywood so upset. Boy, the Hollywood folks had control of Russia for 80-something years, but that's all coming to an end, scumbags. We'll be back in 60 seconds with Katie Hopkins. Well, this just broke minutes ago. They have voted in the UK Parliament to not allow the Brexit to be derailed and to have Brexit continue and to honor the vote of the people, despite what Theresa May and the neocons they've got over there are doing on the left. This is another big defeat for the unelected EU bureaucracy. This is a big defeat for the globalist, a big win for nationalism on the heels of Italy becoming nationalist with a leftist and nationalist conservative unity government. You've got elections all over the world, similar things happening, very, very exciting things unfolding. Now, Katie Hopkins, journalist, Fox News contributor, hopkinsworld.com. She's over in St. Petersburg. She was just reporting on the Russians being Christian, vibrant, strong, panicking Hollywood, and the globalist poison dealers, the psychic vampires. But the sad news is our political prisoners. She'll leave us here in a few minutes. We'll air a compilation of Free Tommy Robinson and then move to our next big stories. But we do have political prisoners. They like to make us all political prisoners. We forget the EU wants to make it illegal to even criticize the EU or talk about how they're tax exempt at the top. The latest on Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, so, he's inside for 13 months, and it still is one of those crucial points of argument. There's a great deal of people here in the UK that say, well, he knew what he was doing. He had an order out against him. He was told not to be outside the court. It's contempt of court. He pled guilty, case closed. But of course, there's much more rational people like myself, who understand that all he was trying to do was shine a light on the Pakistani majority Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs, the rape squads that have been raping our children. And my message to all these people that criticize Tommy is always this. If he had turned a blind eye, just like the police turned a blind eye, just like the social services turned a blind eye to the victims, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place if all those people who had turned a blind eye continue to speak the truth. And that's all Tommy Robinson's trying to do, is shine a light on this issue. The idea that he was sentenced to 13 months in just 5 hours, where was the swift justice for the Muslim paedophiles that were abusing our children? And 13 months inside, it's a known fact. Some of the people I work with that work inside prisons that talk to me, they say, we'll just take one warden who's paid or bribed by the Muslim gangs that control a lot of our prisons, one warden to be bribed to open that cell door, and Tommy will not survive his time inside. So that's really the worry. And when I see people criticizing Putin for silencing journalists like Majinsky here, there's a big Majinsky Act, I don't see the UK as being much different. The establishment don't like what Tommy Robinson have to say. He stands against their ultimate being cowed to Islam, and because he got in the way, they've thrown him inside. And it's just the same for us. It's the establishment way of cleansing people whose voices they don't want heard. So I don't see any difference between the allegations leveled at Putin and the actions of Theresa May and the establishment putting Tommy Robinson inside. He definitely needs to be out of prison for his own safety, and there's no reason for him to be behind bars.
Well, I totally agree with you. And if the Islamists are so stupid, as they've almost killed him before in prison, to think if they kill him that will defeat him, that will only make him 100 times bigger, it just shows their total and complete disconnect. But again, people that don't understand, in parliamentary systems, if you've got 5–10% of the population that votes as a bloc, you can then put whatever party you want in, pushing them over the top. That's why Europe's rolled out a giant red bloody carpet to Islam. And of course, the biggest victim of Islam are Muslims who aren't radical. Many Muslims are nice people. They're called heretics. But the whole orthodoxy is targeting them. So I just want to make this point. Judges using the, quote, gag orders inside the court's one thing, but saying outside, don't even be out there pointing out that there's a trial happening. That is a absolute violation of jurisprudence. English common law, our common law is the same thing. I know the law. I've talked to lawyers. I've talked to lawyers over in your country. This is a giant power grab. These D-notices, all of it. They are using this to suppress speech. They banned Michael Savage from coming to your country. They've asked me when I'm flying him, am I going to be political? If so, I can't come in. And absolutely, Russia has targeted a few journalists that have been proven to be CIA-funded, foreign funded. Like the rock bands they send over there, whose names I can't even say on air because of FCC rules, but the P riot. They're there, admittedly, to overthrow the country. Well, I don't want China over here. China just got banned from buying up U.S. universities and putting out communist Chinese propaganda. Trump just did that a few weeks ago with executive action because that's a foreign power. And that's what I see Putin doing, is going after foreign powers in his country. No. In England and the UK, it's people standing up for your sovereignty, standing up for your nation, are the ones being targeted and silenced. That's what I call treason by the government. What do you say in closing?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. There's this real sense now in the UK that it's the people versus the establishment. The crowds are not dissipating. They are growing in size, in number. The mainstream media won't report it. And I think it will be very interesting if Tommy Robinson does make it out of prison alive. His voice is going to be louder than ever. And it's really this resurgent idea that the British people are going to be standing up for Great Britain, supported by populists in Europe and supported by Donald Trump in America. And for him and for you, we're very grateful.
All right, HopkinsWorld.com. Thank you, Katie Hopkins. Always amazing.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Robbins is the real deal. 11 years ago, finding out they had rape gangs right next door to his tanning salon. He started exposing them. They got in his face. He got in fistfights with them. It's not a win. It's like you've seen all the people attack him. He fights back. Started kicking their ass. They were loading girls in cars. That's what a normal man does. And all these years later, years in prison, attacked, lost his house, everything, he's not backing down. It's that leadership that ignites real revolutions. And we're going to win. But some of us are going to have to make some big sacrifices. And Tommy's really made a big one. I'm trying to finance him and expansion of media with his organization right now. And that's just a meeting I'm actually going to have tomorrow. That's why, again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do a bunch of stuff. I want to grow. That's why Soros and Hillary's law firms are openly suing me. They brag about it. The goal, they say, is to shut us down. The good news is the suits are fraudulent. The problem is they're launching them in areas like Travis County and other areas where they believe that they're going to, have a group of their own people to basically electronically lynch me. Doesn't matter, folks. I've already done the victories. We've already exposed them. They're already in flames. They're trying to take us out, though. We're needed for future battles. Now, maybe that's not God.
For far too long, from the Free Tommy Robinson March. Squads in the UK were ignored. Rotherham, Telford, Rochdale, Oxford, Newcastle, the list goes on. But Tommy Robinson refused to look away. Despite known risks to his freedom, he persisted, reporting known facts from the street outside a court in Leeds where a rape squad faced justice. He was arrested simply for being there. Arrested, charged and sentenced in 5 hours. given 13 months inside Hull prison for contempt of court, together with a sinister media ban to silence reporting of anything to do with his story. And so, here today, outside Whitehall, people protest. Some are here to protest the injustice of his sentence.
The moment we live in a country where you can get locked up for reporting on industrialised rape of young white girls, the moment we reach that point is a complete disaster. And the moment we reach a point where you can't criticise something, that's the moment we lose who we are.
This country's known for free speech and people being able to say and do what they want, and it has to be protected.
Many can see the cruelty of a system where rapists and paedophiles walk free, but a journalist reporting on them is jailed.
There's a problem with the grooming epidemic from the Muslim community, and I will say Muslim community, and that needs to be tackled. And there is also a massive problem with Islamic extremism. I know because I've grown up with Muslims.
We can't say anything about Pakistani Muslim paedophile gangs. When we speak about these, you know, we're called racist, we're called Islamophobic.
But there is something else. The crowd are drawn by something bigger than Tommy, something greater than one man. Old, young, mothers, daughters and dads, drawn together by a shared sense that our country has got it all wrong and Britain has lost its way, that we side with the criminal.
And we have to speak out the truth, because if we don't, we're going to end up living in a place we don't want to live. We're already seeing that freedom of speech is endangered. I think Tommy's tremendously brave in what he does. He's a very young man. I'm not a very young man, but I'm going to say what I have to say because I feel that I have a duty to say it for the benefit of other people who can't.
But Islam is taking over the place we used to call home.
To stand up against this persecution of people who criticise Islam, and it is a persecution. And we need to stand up to it. We need to stand up and oppose it.
And we are not alone in this fight. International leaders like Geert Wilders from the Freedom Party are here from the Netherlands to show solidarity in our battle against the Islamification of the UK. But what unites all of us here? What has brought these people to this place outside Whitehall in London is to show we will not be silenced. We will not be told to look away from what is wrong. British people are here to show that there are still right-minded people in our country prepared to stand up for what is right. The establishment will not silence us. Tommy Robinson will not survive 13 months in prison. What purpose does his sentence serve, I wonder, but to silence his voice, a voice the establishment don't want to hear? We stand together. We stand with Tommy Robinson.